Yes, welcome in. It's Foxboro Rush time. One more. Give me one more.
Woo! Rock on, Foxboro Rush!
You know who's bringing the energy today like he does every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My man, Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. We're here on Foxboro Rush covering everything, NFL. It's the low days of the season. We're going to talk clutch quarterbacks today.
Yes.
We're going to go through and rank our top 3 clutch QBs of all time. And we'll also talk with Joe Burrow with a brilliant 18-game NFL plan that he presented on a podcast, which should go to the league, in my opinion.
All right.
Trav, how are we doing today, my man?
Hey, we agree on that. I thought it was brilliant as well, so I can't wait to get to that topic. By the way, as promised on last Foxboro Rush, you and I did together, I said I will watch episode 1, Hard Knocks, Giants off season.
Yeah.
I checked it out, George, and I will say this.
My man.
It was definitely made for you and like-minded individuals such as yourself who love front office things, who love player personnel and development and all that kind of stuff. I watched it with my wife. I saw her nodding off several times.
I was going to ask. I appreciate her watching. Thank you.
I said, hey, this one isn't about the players, my dear. This is about the guys who bring the players together. So I was actually into it. She was not, which told me it's very niche, George. It's very, you got to, like I said, like-minded. You have to want to care about front office stuff to watch it.
Look, I like that it gives that peer into the conversations.
Yes.
You see the dynamics that happen.
Yes.
It is Joe Schoen going over with his entire front office and the power brokers, the real brass behind personnel decisions.
Yes.
And then you see him and John Mayer have a quick back and forth. You see the sequence of Saquon, and you see the candid conversation that Joe Schoen has about a Daniel Jones. Is he our guy? We got to find out. Or do we move on after this year? Because they know that they can actually make a move that would help the team with the cap space.
That's right.
I just like to peer into those conversations. A lot of dialogue, very boring. I'm like, where are the montages of lifting weights and on the practice field?
Yeah.
Maybe NFL Combine. That'll come along. NFL Draft Lead-Up. I think it'll get juicier.
Yep.
But yes, it's very niche.
It's
for me. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's okay, though. I mean, I enjoyed it, George, to be honest with you. I was just shocked that there wasn't more, like, metrics and numbers and analytics. I always assumed front office people walk around.
Don't bog us down with that. I think it's smart.
Well, that's what I thought I was going to get, though. I thought I was going to get, Saquon, when he runs to the right 60% of the time, this happens. When he runs to the left, whereas this back on the, Tony Pollard on the free agent market, when he runs to the – I thought I was going to get nerd stuff, and I didn't get a lot of that. When they sit around and they talk players, I was kind of shocked that they sound just like us. I mean, it was just like someone in the room said, well, Saquon is a difference maker, and the rest of these backs aren't. And I'm sitting there watching like, no shit, Sherlock. Someone needed to step up in the meeting and say that. I mean, we all watch the games, so I was a little fascinated with that. It's not as deep, and these guys are not as smart and is in the football weeds as I thought, George. Yeah. I was very surprised with that.
What I was thinking with that is those conversations happen. They got to think of attention span and audience comprehension.
Yeah, sure.
So I think they keep it very simple.
Yeah.
I'm sure those convos happen as well. But you're right. You know what? Maybe some behind-the-scenes footage or the extra. Give me an extra 2 minutes of that talk. 5 minutes after the credits, I'll watch. But there was a lot of conversations in Hard Knocks about Daniel Jones.
Yes.
And he's actually on a list previewing the upcoming season and recapping last season.
Yes.
He makes a top 10 in top 10 clutch quarterbacks according to CBS Sports from last season. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can.
Let's go over the top 10. First, I want to say the requirements. He's making it simple. Quarterback conversion rate on game-tying or go-ahead drives in the fourth quarter and overtime. So, literally, if they lead their team at any point in the fourth or OT to tie the game or take the lead, and expected points added per play in these situations. That takes passing, rushing, sacks, turnovers, touchdowns, all of that into account. So basically, how often does a quarterback lead his team downfield, and how does he actually perform in those drives? The top 10, going 10 through 1.
Yep.
And we'll react to this. 10, Justin Herbert and the Chargers. 9, Lamar Jackson. 8, Daniel Jones. 7, Joe Burrow. 6, Dak Prescott ahead of Joe Burrow. 5, Jared Goff ahead of Joe Burrow. 4, Josh Allen. 3, Jalen Hurts. 2, CJ Stroud. 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 1's no surprise. What jumped out to me are these types of numbers. Talking with Justin Herbert. The ability is there. The offensive pieces have somewhat been there. Keenan Allen finally healthy last year. Now he's in Chicago. Quentin Johnston is number 2, who doesn't know how to catch a football. We get into all that. But this jumped out to me about Justin Herbert. Converted on 42% of his game-tying or go-ahead drives. 5 game-tying or go-ahead touchdown passes in losses last year. So it's on the defense and Brandon Staley, who couldn't keep a lead.
That's right.
Lamar Jackson at 9, 16 total touchdowns, 15 interceptions in the fourth quarter of the last 3 years. But then you get to Daniel Jones at 8. 44% conversion rate on drives the last 2 years. 2022, 5 game-winning drives in 7 games through a certain span, but that was a fluke. My thing is, the numbers could say this. Saquon was on the offense. Let's see Daniel Jones in the clutch time without a dynamic playmaker in Saquon Barkley. Now he has Malik Neighbors. He has that elite number 1 that can win on the outside.
Well, we think. Let's slow down on Malik Neighbors.
He has Malik Neighbors, a number 1 receiver. You're right. Because right now he's just a prospect.
Yeah, let's see.
I am projecting Malik Neighbors to be elite.
All right.
We've seen a lot of rookie and young receivers flourish throughout the league. I don't think Malik Neighbors will be a bust.
He's an LSU kid.
He's not a Brian Thomas Jr. type, right? I think Malik Neighbors works. But now it's on you, Daniel Jones, because they're investing in the offensive linemen. They brought in 4 new offensive linemen this offseason. They let Saquon walk to get him protection up front. They got the elite number 1 receiver in the draft. But Daniel Jones on this list, I understand the numbers say one thing. The eye test and ability says the other. He should not be in this top 10.
That's fair, and I don't think anyone's going to push back on that. I, for one, when you asked the question, as you were setting up this segment, beautifully, by the way, nice job by you. You said, are you surprised Daniel Jones is on this list at all? And I said, no, I'm not. Here's why I said that. Based off personal experience. For years I covered the Washington Commanders, and this guy terrorized the Commanders. I believe Daniel Jones got paid damn near solely based on what he's done against this franchise. You look at the numbers, including one game where he threw for 500 damn yards and 5 touchdowns damn near. He's 5-1-1 against the Commanders. He owns them. I don't know what it is. I don't know the stylistics, the matchups. I don't have any idea other than the Commanders have stunk for years. But Daniel Jones' dual threat ability comes out and shines against that franchise. And covering them for as long as I did, I have literally watched this guy since coming into the league terrorize Washington. Now, outside of the Commanders, when he starts playing other teams, then you watch and go, oh, that is gross. But it doesn't shock me he's on this list because the Giants obviously are a marquee franchise. They're always in tight games. Their defense is good enough. It keeps them in tight games. It just is what it is. So when Daniel Jones is available, when Daniel Jones is out there playing, because we understand he has, an injury history, but when he is out there, George, by the sheer strength of his defense, it doesn't surprise me that he makes this list, and it doesn't surprise me that the numbers bear that he belongs on the list because his defense keeps him in games. To your point.
But how many of those were he trailing against the Commanders is what I think, Trav.
I mean, listen, to your point, without Saquon, we're going to find out the truth, right? Because some of these numbers are also inflated because he did have that bona fide weapon. But Saquon's another guy who is banged up a lot too. So I'm willing to give Daniel Jones a fair shake here, as clearly as we've learned in our Hard Knocks discussion, the Giants front office is also giving and coaching staff is giving. Can he stay healthy? Can he continue to put up these kinds of clutch numbers this season? That remains to be seen. But again, the theory of your defense keeping you in a game and then you going out there and winning it for your team, I believe is why his numbers are inflated. I think the defense deserves a lot of credit. It's another reason why I think Justin Herbert's going to move up on this list. Justin Herbert at 10, and you brought up Brandon Staley. Herbert literally had to bail this team out of nonsense every week with that idiot head coach for the couple years that they had him. Now with Harbaugh coming in,
exactly,
that's a stabilizing force, someone who's not going to blow it at the end of the game in terms of calling plays and managing timeouts and things of this nature. But also, what does Harbaugh like to do? We know his calling card. It's going to be defense, and it's going to be running the football. So I think Justin Herbert is going to be more efficient in this new Harbaugh-led Chargers offense, which I believe his, I don't know, you start talking about fantasy football and all those kinds of things. Yeah, those numbers may be lower than what we're used to seeing from Justin Herbert, but I believe he's going to be more efficient and more clutch. I think his clutch numbers will go up, and overall he'll be a better quarterback.
I agree. It's having the actual adult in the room leading a team,
Right.
someone that knows how to lead a team in Jim Harbaugh. And there's been an uptick everywhere he goes. His talent on offense has dropped off. The
Yes.
offensive line did get better,
Yes.
and surely everything will get better with Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
Type of head coach he's been. Small schools in college, like the San Diego States. Big schools, Stanford and Michigan. And even at Stanford, which isn't a big-time program,
That's
but he
right.
turned them into a contender in
49ers.
the national landscape. And then, of course, exactly, get into the San Francisco 49ers and what he did there.
Yep.
Justin Herbert's going to see an uptick. Joe Burrow is going to make an uptick. Again, this was taking a lot into account because some quarterbacks' last year's performance are the quarterbacks' their big picture. Joe Burrow can't stay healthy, doesn't have an offensive line, but now that they continue to invest, you get Trent Brown to left tackle, has elite receivers. The guy's led the Bengals to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Is 3-0 in his first 3 meetings against Patrick Mahomes. Has fallen short in bigger games against Mahomes, but actually goes toe-to-toe. And what I think when I think clutch quarterbacks and all this is elevating their game on the biggest moments, and Joe Burrow has done that.
Yes, he has.
He should not be at 7. And it is where this is a list 1 through 10, numbers say one thing. If you give me this list 1 through 10, who do you want? I'll go Mahomes 1. I would go Burrow 2.
You're saying who do you want at the end of a game? Clutch, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Ball in their hands.
2-minute
You're
drill.
down.
All
You're
right.
down 7 points.
Okay.
Game time, game-winning drive. You make your predetermination. You're going to get a
All right.
2-point conversion after the touchdown.
I'm with you, Mahomes and Burrow. You said it too.
Mahomes 1.
We
Burrow
agree.
is 2 for me.
Agree.
In all this.
Yep.
And then when you get into that 3 range, small sample size. If you go CJ Stroud, I don't hate it. But again, he was just a rook who's been doing it for a long time. Then I would bring the Josh Allens. I would bring even the Jalen Hurts.
yeah.
And I know the latest look for Jalen Hurts wasn't great, but that offense wasn't an influx all season long.
Yeah.
Then you could get into there's ability. Justin Herbert can make all the throws. Lamar Jackson's the tough one because we've seen it time and time again in the playoffs. He doesn't look like himself.
Yeah.
He looks lesser than the MVP type guy we've seen in the regular season. And that's where it hits. But Joe Burrow should not be 7. Dak Prescott should not be ahead of Burrow. Even Jared Goff, but Jared Goff executes.
See, I'm a Jared Goff guy. I that's someone I would probably move up pretty high. I might even consider him at 3 on this list.
Jared Goff 6 and 10 in game time go-ahead drives, 3rd in expected points added. But remember that NFC Championship game loss. Lions were up 17.
I almost
He
feel
was
like
3 for 13 throwing when under pressure against the 49ers.
There's no denying those numbers. But
And then it comes into coaching and decisions.
Watching that game,
Yep.
I
Kick a field goal.
I felt at the end of that game more blame on Dan Campbell than I did Jared Goff.
Put
Does
on
that
Ben
make
Johnson
sense?
to some of the play calling on fourth
Yeah,
down
sure.
too.
The coaching staff,
Yeah.
period. I mean, I'm going to say Dan Campbell as a whole because he's in charge of the whole thing. I'm giving him the brunt of the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big golf guy. And I also, as you know, we've talked about this, I'm on the Lions this year. I actually think they're going to be in the Super Bowl. So that's probably why I'm more apt to put Jared Goff higher on this list as well. But I agree with you that certainly it's Mahomes and Burrow 1 and 2. I would agree. And obviously with Burrow getting hurt, that's why he's so low on this list. But I'm with you there. I tell you one, I'm a little sketchy for. I don't know if I trust Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts needs, just for my guesstimation, there's 2 quarterbacks this season who I'm going to be all over in terms of delivering because I'm out of excuses for both of them.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, number 1, far and away. Even though he's got paid now, I think I'm out on him. I've sold all my stock on him. So I'm watching to see if I can still believe in him at all because I think I'm done with him. And then Jalen Hurts, I'm not as definitive in terms of selling stock. I'm holding on to the stock. But what I did not like that I saw last season, which is why I don't really even respect him being 3rd on this list, I hated the body language from Jalen Hurts last year. The whole media and all of Jalen Hurts' brand has sold me this Captain America-like cat who, no matter what, going gets tough, Jalen Hurts gets tougher, and he's a leader of men, and all these inspirational quotes and biblical verses and all this stuff. But when you know what hit the fan last season for the Eagles, injuries, losing games, the pressure of the media, their coach kind of losing his mind a little bit. Jalen Hurts, none of that stuff was to be found at all. I saw a guy sulking, complaining, the media, I mean, his press conferences, you might as well bought him a box of Kleenex to cry. Like, what the hell's going on with this guy? That's what to me, like, when you're a leader and you're a real tough guy, that's when times get hard is when I can lean on you the most, not when things are going great. So I'm looking at him sideways now too, George. Like, are you a front runner? Are you really about the things you say you are? So Jalen Hurts, I'm going to be watching this season as well to see if he has another season like he did last season.
Yeah,
I'm going to consider selling my stock in him just like I did Trevor Lawrence.
And it's all about if you sell the stock, then who you going to invest in and buy, right?
Right.
CJ Stroud, 6 of 8 in game time, go-ahead drives as a rookie.
Yep.
10.7 yards per attempt, 139.5 passer rating. So you're ranked second on this list. And you could go with Josh Allen. That defense, man, let him down a ton.
It's not going to stop. Georgia defense isn't any better.
It'd be a ton of hero ball to start, and then they got to make up for it on the back end.
Right.
When you look at this list, again, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes. That's 10 through 1.
Yep.
Who do you feel like was missing from this?
I don't think anyone. There's no one that jumps out to me. I would be interested to see Tua's numbers because he's always swimming around these waters.
But when he plays a good team, he's not clutch. He doesn't elevate his game. When they play a team with a winning record, he sucks.
Yeah, that's a fact.
When it's 30 below in Kansas City,
don't even get me started.
The whole team didn't want to be there.
But I wouldn't mind seeing his numbers as it pertains to this. I feel like he's always close to this grouping of quarterbacks and everything. Obviously, I feel like Kirk Cousins with a healthy season, I would like to see his numbers too. Kirk Cousins has made some pretty clutch plays as well, just not in the postseason, obviously. But this isn't all a postseason award. Brock Purdy, similar. A lot of the guys who are in this tier of quarterback, for lack of a better term, but guys we don't necessarily view as the same, cut from the same cloth as a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes. I would want to see that next tier of quarterback and see where they rank in terms of some of these numbers. That's all. But no one in the top 10, I feel like, got snubbed, so to speak.
I feel like that's very disrespectful to a guy we've been seeing do it since 2009.
Who?
And won a Super Bowl.
Rodgers?
Matt Stafford.
Oh, that's fair.
35 career fourth quarter
clutch.
comebacks in the regular season, 44 career game-winning drives. Then he had 3 game-winning drives in the postseason alone in 2022.
Yeah.
Right? He's been doing it for so long, and he was plagued by those awful Detroit Lions teams, right?
Right.
And think about it like this. 44 game-winning drives in his career. Now, let me pull up his career record real quick.
Yeah, that's a good point. Bringing it. Hell, if anything, you could swap out Daniel Jones for him.
44 career game-winning drives.
Wow.
Right? His career record, 98, 107, and 1. 44. Almost half of his career wins had to be on a game-winning drive where he's executing it.
Right.
And think about that record he has, but he's been one of the most talented guys in the league ever since he's been in the league. But he was just stuck in Detroit, and he gets to LA, and what happens? It clicks, and he breaks through and wins the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Now, obviously, there is the combination of him being with Sean McVay and what that offensive system was, and with Cooper Kupp, right?
That's
Everything,
right.
A lot has to go right. It's about more than the quarterback when you win a Super Bowl. But at the same time, you have to have that guy that can lead you to that.
Yes.
And that was a tight game between the Rams and the Bengals. And Matt Stafford did what he had to do all postseason long to get him to that point and to win it.
Yes, he did.
Matt Stafford should be on this list.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm thinking I'm bumping a Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I am bumping a Dak Prescott. And again, you know who I'd want on this list, but he hasn't been put in these situations? Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
He goes out and he executes the system. Close wins, blowout wins, tight games in the playoffs, took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. I am excited to see Brock Purdy now with a full off season of him as QB1, walking into that building every day as I am the guy.
That's right.
The whole team behind him, the whole coaching staff behind him, and he has shown that he could run Kyle Shanahan's system with high IQ, decision-making, and accuracy. You don't need the rest, and he can get it done with his legs. I would take Brock Purdy over Dak or Daniel Jones. And you know, again, and this is the guy I'm high on, but I absolutely love him. Give me Jordan Love. And again, it's, all right, who would you bump? That's the tough part on
That's
this.
tough.
Because if I'm saying I want these three guys on the list,
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, those are the early, easy bump offs for me. Then I get into, do I kick off Jared Goff? And I'm thinking,
No.
let me put Jordan Love in that system with that offensive line and those receivers and that play caller and Ben Johnson. I mean, he's more talented than Jared Goff, right? It doesn't feel right to say it about Lamar Jackson because Jordan Love hasn't been put in that situation. 1-1 in the playoffs. Where Lamar, but he continually gets to the playoffs and his best game doesn't show up. So I need to see a bigger sample size for Jordan Love in that. But those are three guys I want to see on this list. Those are three guys I believe in. So this is the clutch list of by the numbers. But who's clutch? Again, Trav, your team is down 7. You're in the fourth quarter. Let's give it. You got 3 minutes to go. Team is down 7. Matt Stafford, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love. Those are three names not on this list who I would take.
Yeah, that's fair, especially the Stafford one. You love you some Jordan Love.
So talented, man.
I'll be honest, obviously aside from talking Drake May, who we hope will be on this list one day, and Patriots all season with you, I can't wait to talk NFC North with you because you love, pun intended, Jordan Love. I'm a huge Jared Goff and obviously a Caleb Williams fan, and then we're both going to have our eyes on J.J. McCarthy to see if he can even play. Like, do you belong? So that's going to be a fascinating division to just watch all year and discuss with you. I'm looking forward to it because I'm not as high on Jordan Love as you are, although I like him, and you are not as high on Jared Goff as I am, although you like him. And then we both, obviously are enamored with Caleb Williams to see what he does, and then we're both looking sideways at J.J. McCarthy. So it's going to be a fascinating division, no doubt about that.
Have you mailed out your Hall of Fame vote for Caleb Williams yet?
Oh, you just wait. I'm telling everyone who will listen, after week 1, I've had Bears fans tell me.
1 week.
Yes.
Go.
Do you remember? You probably don't remember this, but I did the same thing when Cam Newton came out of Auburn. And I said, watch week 1. He's going to set the league on fire. Everyone told me I was nuts, and he did.
Yep.
I think Caleb Williams is going to have that same effect. After week 1, everyone's going to look around and go, man, this kid lives up to the hype. And I'm going to be like, told you.
It's about more than one game, though.
I understand that, but I'm speaking more to the Bears fans. I've heard a lot of Bears fans kind of hating. Like, I don't know. We always get these hype quarterbacks. I'm like, no. You got the one. And when they see after week 1, you watch. They'll be telling me I'm right.
Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears, double doink. They need more than a game. They need more than a season to believe in their quarterback. And they need no SIGs from smoking Jay Cutler. That's what they need.
SIGs and double doinks.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Darts for them. All right, let's go. We look at it.
All right.
You and me both have our top 3 most clutch quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah, it's just these 3, right? I mean, are we tripping? Because we have the same 3.
People.
Like, who are we? Obviously, we're leaving out old timers, as you and I have learned.
Like, I've seen Terry Bradshaw on
I
list.
know.
He has more career interceptions than touchdowns.
But here's the thing,
and
George.
when Terry Bradshaw was playing, he had the steel curtain. He had a great defense.
That's right.
There was no free agency that exists.
Great
Now, that is
all-time
the case for
coach.
one person that is on this list.
But great all-time receivers. He had everything. Here's the thing I want to say about us, just to defend us, as we talk about our top 3 clutch quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
This is just to defend us because I know people poke holes at our Mount Rushmores and our top 3s and our top 5s. George and I are very clear about this, okay? More so me. George will at least sometimes go down the old school route. I don't like putting people on list of all-time things that I didn't watch.
Well, that's not fun.
It's not a knock on anyone, old school. I'm sure Johnny Unitas was as clutch as they come. I mean, the college I went to, the field was named after him. Like, I get it.
You went to Towson?
Yes.
Whoa, didn't know that.
But at the same time, like, I didn't see it, bruh. Sorry. So I'm sure, player X was great in the 1946 NFC title game. Sorry, I wasn't even thought of then, okay? Relax. So I like going by players that I've watched with thine eyes. And I noticed we have the same 3. And I kind of feel like this is the only 3 to say. There's a couple honorable mentions we can talk about, but this is the 3, George.
So let's start with 1. We all know who it is. We'll go 1, 2, 3. We'll list them out.
Got it.
And then we'll talk about it.
Tommy.
Tom Brady, number 1. Don't care. All the stats, game-winning drives. And the fact that he always played his best football in the biggest moments.
Facts.
Even the one of the Super Bowls that he lost.
Oh.
Well, think about the two he lost. Offensive line was absolutely exposed, and you just got to credit the pass rush.
Yep.
You also needed Eli Manning to make two ungodly throws and plays.
That's right.
One to David Tyree, one to Mario Manningham, and injured Rob Gronkowski. This guy could have been perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect in Super Bowls. Instead of 7 rings, he could have 10, which is insane to think about. And
I'll
then you
give
think
you
of the Eagles Super Bowl.
I was going to say that another NFC East team that beat him, that Eagles game was incredible. I mean, the numbers he was putting up was insane. I don't blame Brady at all in that Super Bowl. I blame Belichick. I thought Belichick got outcoached by Doug Peterson.
Yeah. Number 2 for me, and I think as well will have the change. Well, number 2 for me, I go Joe Montana. You go Patrick Mahomes. Those are our 2-3 we have flipped.
But it's fine, right? Like, it's those two. And the only reason I went Mahomes is the same reason he's moving up everyone's board. I'm just not willing to put him above Tom. But I'm willing now at this point.
What?
To put Mahomes above every other quarterback I've ever watched, including Peyton Manning, including Joe Montana.
You scared me for
including another clutch quarterback who almost made my list, but I went Montana over him and John Elway. But I watched them all, and I feel fortunate that I've watched all these great quarterbacks in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this. I have never, ever seen anyone with the talent, this includes Tom Brady, as a Patrick Mahomes. I've just never seen it. And he just continues to amaze me. He's clutch. He's climbing up my all-time list. He's got a long way to go to catch Tom, but damn it, my mind and my heart is open to it because I've never seen anything like this from this kid. That's why he's 2 on my list.
It's every time. I mean, we just saw it in the Super Bowl. They just won.
Yeah.
Every play you need to make with his legs, throwing. You never have a lead that is safe if Patrick Mahomes is on the opposite side.
Yep.
Talking about game-winning drives and all that, Tom Brady, 58 game-winning drives regular season in his career. 14 postseason game-winning drives, 9 postseason fourth-quarter comebacks.
Yeah.
Just look at Mahomes. His career in the playoffs, he's 15-3, 3-1 in the Super Bowl.
Gee.
And he could be 4-0 in a Super Bowl if he had an offensive line when he lost to Tom and the Buccaneers. But also, I don't know, because he was playing Tom Brady. And think about it like this. He could also have 5 Super Bowl appearances if D Ford was on sides. And that interception Brady threw when targeting Gronk was picked off by the Chiefs. But he was off sides.
Good point.
Was called back. And then guess what? Tom Brady led the Patriots to a game-winning drive and put him into the Super Bowl.
That's right.
His completion percentage, again, this is his last 18 playoff games. 67%, 282 yards per game, 39 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, a 106.3 passer rating. God. In his last 7 postseason games, he's thrown 1 interception. And this is the most insane one to me. Since 2001, there have been 125 drives in the NFL. Postseason, where it was at least the fourth quarter, there was under a minute left to play, and the team on offense trailed by 7 points or fewer.
Yep.
Out of those 125 postseason drives with under a minute to go, 40% of them saw the team on offense tie or take the lead. Tom Brady's 5-11 in that situation. Drew Brees went 3-6. Patrick Mahomes is a perfect 7 for 7 in that situation. Under a minute to go in the playoffs.
That's crazy.
And you need to either tie or win the game. And he is 7 for 7 in those situations.
Yeah, man. Money.
He's as clutch as it comes. He can make every play. And again, elevates his game on those biggest moments. My one with Joe Montana. Now, I see what you're explaining of you've seen him. I never saw Joe Montana play. I was born in 94. But in 1988 and 1989, 19 touchdowns in the playoffs, 1 interception, over 1,600 yards, completed 70% of his passes, 6-0 record with back-to-back Super Bowls. And he's never thrown an interception in a Super Bowl, and he has 4 rings.
Yeah.
Brady has 7 rings. Mahomes, again, easily could have 4 or 5, has 3, coming off back-to-back. And then Montana has 4.
Yeah.
Insane to think about.
He was the GOAT until Tom walked into the picture. I'm just telling you right
now.
I
knew that, man.
Like he was the GOAT.
I didn't grow up under a rock. I was keen to history and all that.
Yeah, he was a GOAT. Here's a couple, honorable mentions that I wanted to get in here.
Let me hear it.
I mean, John Elway I already brought up. He didn't get the Super Bowls till late in his career.
And he was unclutch until he finally broke through.
That's right. So he sort of changed the narrative of his career. I think you have to consider Eli Manning, seeing as how he, as you brought up, stood toe-to-toe with the GOAT twice and beat him, and he was clutch. He was clutch in both of those wins.
That's the one I think of as Eli.
Yeah, Eli deserves an honorable mention. I have Joe Burrow moving up my board just like I do Patrick Mahomes. I just need Joe Burrow healthy.
Need him to be around. We need another playoff run. Yep.
So I think Burrow feels a lot like this generation's Peyton Manning, whereas Patrick Mahomes feels like Tom Brady. I think Burrow will figure it out and get a ring or two before it's all said and done. So he has room to move on my list. He could knock Joe Montana out of the top 3, quite frankly. And then here's one just for funsies I wanted to bring up because I remember them calling them the cardiac Colts when I was a kid. But Jim Harbaugh, man, was an absolute clutch quarterback. He didn't have all the numbers as some of the other guys, his contemporaries during that time, but Jim Harbaugh led a lot of comebacks for the Colts, including some playoff games. I think Jim Harbaugh deserves some respect here too.
You know what I think of too when I think of Mahomes? I remember I was covering the Packers at the time. We were driving up to Lambeau, Packers-Seahawks playoff game. By the time we drive from Madison to Green Bay, I check real quick, what's the other scores around the league? Houston Texans, 24. I'm looking at my phone. Kansas City Chiefs, 0. We go, what the hell happened?
Wow.
That game's over.
Yep.
51-31 the final.
That's right.
5 touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Largest comeback in franchise history.
Yep.
And then we get after, all right, what was the final? What? They came back?
That's right.
That's Mahomes.
Yeah, that's right.
That Eli play, being grown up in New Jersey.
Which one, Tyree or Manningham?
Exactly, both.
Right?
It was again.
Filthy.
This is happening again. And a guy that would look like a dunce 70% of the time.
Yeah.
But they would say it. I mean, biggest moments, he was always equal, same level, never too high, never too low. And that's what you want.
Dumb, ugly look on his face. Looking lost as hell.
You know what he is? Dunce looking, dumb looking, ugly looking, king of New Jersey and New York.
Facts.
Man. He still resides in Jersey.
Facts.
Best state there ever was. Never has to pay for a meal or drink rest of his life.
Nor
He is
should
royalty.
Yeah.
And he's the only guy. A Tom Brady roast, you love it.
Yep.
The one person, as TB12 was going through and FUing everyone, he goes, F you, Eli, F the Giants twice. And what does Eli do? I don't have to show up, bro. I won. He's
Facts.
the only person that can wake up every morning, Eli Manning, and go, I beat Tom Brady when it mattered most. That has something to do with it.
I'm sick of all the Mannings. Peyton, Eli, Archie, Arch, all of them, Cooper. Screw all y'all.
All right, let's get into the 18-game plan Joe Burrow presented. Now, there are the reports of, and we all see it, man. End of the day with all this, it is about money. TV deals and money. The NFL, it's not if, it's when they'll go to an 18-game season.
It's coming.
It's going to happen soon enough. Joe Burrow was on Part of My Take, and he said if the NFL goes to 18 games, this is what Burrow had to say. There should be 2 bye weeks, with one of the byes being around week 13 for the entire NFL, with Pro Bowl festivities that week.
All right.
And he's saying this similar to the NBA's All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
He believes it would boost ratings for the struggling Pro Bowl. And additionally, by adding a second bye week and extra game, the Super Bowl would fall on the Sunday before President's Day, giving most of the country a day off after the biggest game of the year. That last part doesn't really matter to me.
What?
Dude, whatever. We got to work anyway. I don't have kids. I got to be here anyway. You think F them kids. I don't care. Yeah. All right, Trav. I get it. Cool. Oh, awesome. Yeah, everyone's going to be, I'm working from home, right? I'm like, yeah, I don't care, you guys. I still got to work.
You do know we work in sports, right? Like, we have to show up and talk about the Super Bowl the next day. You do. You get that.
But if I get a comp day, I could care. All right, I don't need to talk PTO here. The first part intrigues me.
You are
where
something else.
A Pro Bowl middle of the season. I think you put this Pro Bowl in Dallas, middle of the country.
What?
Equal flight for all teams.
Why Dallas? Not Vegas? Isn't that the same?
Yeah, sure. All right, Vegas, same thing. Yeah,
Dallas.
I like that. Rotate it. I'm thinking Dallas. I'm thinking Vegas. It has to be destination for the players.
Location. Okay.
You need them to show up. You can't do Minnesota. Middle of the season. It's going to be freezing.
You're thinking like the Super Bowl tour, right? Like the Arizona, Miami, Vegas, right? Dallas. Okay, I'm with that. I'm with you.
Charlotte, give the smaller cities love.
All right.
I'm sorry, Robert Kraft. Gillette isn't going to get it because you can't. You're going to say Boston, and then they're going to be driving down Route 1 going, why am I staying in a hotel in Walpole?
When did Burrow say week 13?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Too cold.
It's too cold.
But anyhow, he links that to the NBA All-Star break. That boosts ratings. I think it'd make it more competitive if it goes into a bye. But it can't. There can't be pads. It needs to be flag. It needs to be skill challenges. You can't have an actual competitive game. Because I think end of the day, if the game and the NBA just had it. I mean, zero competition level.
Right.
Just now what we saw on the court. I think it'd be same thing. But this list by Burrow and these rules, it's interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's so much to unpack here. I love the idea of the 2 buys, okay?
Yeah.
Unlike yourself, I love the idea of the Super Bowl, falling on the day before President's Day. So most people, your general consumer and fan of the Super Bowl can have a day to recover because Lord knows I've been there. I've needed it. And because of what we do, the nature of what we do, I've had to work every single stinking Monday after a Super Bowl, and I am hung over 100% of the time. But I've been able to do it, and it is what it is. But if I weren't in this world and I worked a regular 9-to-5 job and I was a regular guy with barbecues and beers on the weekends, I would love to have a Monday to recover so I could get hammered on Super Bowl Sunday like the best Americans do. Now, let me say this about the Pro Bowl, and I want to be as clear as I can. I love Joe Burrow's idea. I do. Trying to make it into like an all-star weekend in the NBA. I get it. And I like your idea of rotating it to all the best cities in our country. But there is nothing at all that can save the NFL Pro Bowl. It sucks. It's a terrible product. But because it's so bad and because I don't believe there's anything you can do to save it outside of an exorcism, I am willing to try this. I just don't believe, unlike Joe Burrow, where I disagree, I do not believe ratings will improve. I do not believe we'll get a more competitive game and all that nonsense. No, we're not. It sucks. It is the worst out of all the exhibition all-star games and all of sports. It is atrocious. It needs to go away. But I'm willing to try this, Joe Burrow. I'm just cautioning you all, it ain't going to work because it doesn't work.
What I think... the Pro Bowl is not the priority. If it goes to 18 games, you have to bring in 2 bye weeks.
Yes.
And what I'm thinking is you implement a bye week before a team has their Thursday night football game. Because they have the break leading into Thursday night football. They have the break leading out because then they won't be playing until the following Sunday. So it's 10 days. That's 10 days before and 10 days after they get rest.
Yep.
But that builds in extra rest too if you're going to go more games. So there's player health and safety into that.
Sure.
It makes the Thursday night games more competitive. Have 1 bye week, weeks 4 through 10. Have the second bye have to be weeks 11 through 16. So everyone is still playing weeks 17, 18, and 19. Remember, with 18 games,
that's right.
There'll be that, right?
Yeah.
It still pushes everything back, but it brings player safety into this. And I think why we'd never see a Pro Bowl week happen middle of the season, TV networks would say no to not having games on a Sunday. The Pro Bowl wouldn't do the same in ratings. All those games going away, they would say hell no to that. You do the 2 bye week plan, which I agree with on Burrow on that. I mean, you need that if you're going to do this.
Right.
But you become strategic with it. And you can make the schedule makers. Like, I'm going to ask the people that do this and the real nerds and the people that have the equations.
Right.
I'm asking them to work harder, but like, whatever. You're going to get a much fatter check because you're adding another game to your season.
Yeah, nerds.
It's the first bye week, weeks 4 through 10. And if you have a Thursday night game in that window, that's when your bye falls. The second bye week, weeks 11 through 16, it protects the players and their safety.
Yep.
But it doesn't have the entire league off for a certain Sunday, and you work it in that way. That's what I think would be essential to this. The 18 games will happen. They have to do right by the players on how and when they make it safe. 18 games to me is absurd.
Yeah.
And to still have Thursday night football is absurd.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is a league now playing on Wednesdays, playing on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day.
No doubt.
Whichever which way they can do it. Every day they can make relevant. When they used to not want to compete with the NBA, they're going, we're playing all day. We don't care. Thanksgiving, Black Friday, right?
Yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They play Saturdays at late in the season. They play Sundays. They always play on Mondays.
Yep.
Eventually Tuesday is going to come into play. Maybe they're playing on Tuesday and I forget. They're going to do this. This is big on the CBA and the players, man. They got to get those grass fields and they got to get 2 bye weeks.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it just goes back to what you said at the top, which is it's always about the money.
Always.
They don't give a damn about player safety. They say that, but they don't give a rat's ass. And obviously their actions show that. So I think Joe Burrow's plan is right. And what you're saying, the 2 bye weeks are critical if you're going to do this. If you're going to continue to add to the inventory, continue to add to the wear and tear on these players, the least you could do is give them some time off so their bodies can try and heal. But I'll say this, we're going to get a lot of no-name players if we move to this, George, because I don't care how many bye weeks you have. Football is still violent. Guys still get hurt. You're not going to move to all grass. I understand what you're saying. It's just not going to happen. They're going to play on faster surfaces. If anything, grass is going to go away more, in my opinion. And guys, their ankles and knees and Achilles will continue to explode. Yeah. So what's going to happen is you're going to get what we've been getting. You're going to get more third-string running backs you never heard of putting up crazy numbers. Or some quarterback coming out of nowhere that you didn't see coming, like a Brock Purdy, all of a sudden becomes a star overnight. Because these guys are going to continue to get hurt, George. It just is what it is. The more inventory you add, the more games you add, the more wear and tear you add, players break down. Unless, I know AI is rising up, right? Unless we're going to get some AI football players, the longer we continue to have human beings playing this game, you will continue to have human being injuries. It just is what it is.
You said it. We're going to get more no-name players. They got to do something, expanding the rosters. But then the talent pool gets thinner.
Right.
Because you're having more guys on the team. Yeah, if you go to 18 games, more injuries. But that's why they have to do it right health-wise. Because then it will get to week 17, 18, and 19. Joe Burrow's not going to be playing. He's going to be banged up.
Right.
Tua Tagovailoa, to name a lower guy in the totem pole. Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen.
That's right.
These guys aren't going to be healthy. And if they do, what are the playoffs going to look like? You need to build in a bye week in the beginning, a bye week at the end.
Yep.
Need to work around these Thursday night football games. A bye week before the postseason, but again, they won't take that week off.
Yeah.
But you elongate the season, it expands your calendar, and then it'll shorten the offseason.
Yeah.
Then what is it going to look like?
Think of your older quarterbacks, George. Think of your Aaron Rodgers, your Matt Staffords, these guys who are kind of hanging on. Hanging on at the end of their careers, trying to squeeze all the juice out. Their body's not equipped for this. Are you kidding me? They've been playing all these years one certain way and training, to your point, in the offseason one certain way, and certain pockets of time, certain windows of time, and now all of a sudden you're going to add more games to them. They're going to fall apart at the seams because they're old men. And
they won't say no because it's competitive, the people that run all these leagues. Yeah. But they're just going to have to get rid of the Pro Bowl. To me, they should have. It's dead. It sucks. But if they do a Pro Bowl middle of the season, same thing. No names will be showing up.
Yeah.
You know who's going to be a Pro Bowler? Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, right? Gardner Minshew. Because everyone's going to say no.
Yeah.
Pro Bowls don't even matter anymore. It's all about if you're all pro.
Right. Yeah.
It'll be a game of alternates.
Yep.
Even if it's skill challenges.
Yep.
If the guys are smart, they don't go to Vegas or Dallas that season, that week. Their managers and their agents are smart to them. Say, just rest. Keep it. Because if they're smart, they're not going to do that. And then you're going to have like Braxton Berrios at the Pro Bowl as like the number one receiver. It's going to be Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, stop.
Exactly. I know. I had to find a name that would get you going.
He doesn't deserve anything with a bowl involved.
We have gone this many days without mentioning Juju Smith-Schuster.
No Pro Bowls, no Super Bowls. He doesn't deserve any bowl.
But that's what it'll be. It'll be the quality of the game and who's showing up. The Pro Bowl, if it's middle of the season, just get rid of it. Find a way to bring in skills competitions or something. MLB, the All-Star Game, the Home Run Derby is still interesting. The NBA, they need to fix it. We saw the NHL come out with that skills challenge. You're putting Connor McDavid on the biggest stage and elevating his game, even with the NHL's weird draft and all that. But still, they're finding ways to keep it interesting. I think the NFL is the one league.
The worst.
Get rid of the Pro Bowl, not worth it. But you get more games.
Yeah.
That could be a big piece on the CBI. I say they get rid of it.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl sucks. Listen, you're a nice guy. I feel like you're giving a lot of leagues some props and just saying the NFL's struggling.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
No, they suck, and they need to get rid of the Pro Bowl. I've been saying that for 5 years now. It's not going to happen, and I think exactly what you called is going to happen, where all these players accept their Pro Bowl invitation. Thank you, that's going on the resume, and then they send some loser out there to play for them instead of the actual star that we want to see.
It was like when they used to have it in Honolulu. These guys get done. They go, I don't want to go to Hawaii.
That's right.
Even though it's Hawaii. They're like, I just got done with the season. Then they moved it to Orlando. It's like, you're going to send me to Orlando?
Bro, when I grew up, there was nothing better than watching Steve Young throw a 70-yard bomb to Michael Irvin in Honolulu. Like back when the players cared. Now they don't give a damn.
They don't give a damn about nothing but the Tide. Hey, that's it for this episode of Foxboro Rush. Thank you as always for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime, wherever you listen to your podcast, or if you're watching YouTube, Twitch, same thing. Subscribe and comment along. Follow us on social as well. New episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll see you guys later on this week. Later.